Here we are. So, hello again everybody. We've got something quite unusual, quite nice to do today. We've got a Winchester 101 Grand European. Now, I'm going to leave off a little bit on the history of Winchester, Browning, Maruku, pretty well because I've said it all. Other than that, you can find it all out yourself. But what we're going to concentrate on again now is some engraving, some woodwork, some models. And I've been very kindly loaned this Winchester 101 Grand European by a customer. And what is quite nice about it, it's in fairly original condition. It's had a little bit of woodwork done to it. It's got its original barrel blacking from the Winchester factory. And it's had a stock extension put on it, which has messed the balance up ever so slightly. But what we'll do, we'll show some of the engraving and we'll talk about the models a little bit, and the fact that this Winchester 101 was the highest grade Winchester that you could buy at the time. Now, I am going to butcher a little bit the dating system, because there will be people out there with Winchester Grand Europeans that know a hell of a lot more about the specific gun than I do. As you will see from earlier videos, specifics on every single gun, not interested in them at all. We're looking at a general broader picture, so we're looking at the Brownings, the Browning B25s, all grades. We're looking at Maruku's, all grades, and we're looking at Winchester's, all grades. I'm not a man that likes to, as I say, 100% specialise in one model. There's far too much interesting stuff out there to waste your time on one model. So, if you'd like to bring the camera over here, Paul, and we will, now, anybody that knows Grand Europeans will know that engraving like that, straight off the bat. Now, what we've got with this one, Paul, is we have got full coverage scroll with rose and scroll in the middle of the action. Now, what this engraving is trying to emulate is a Browning B25 C3. A C3 is covered in profuse scroll all over it, hand done. Now, I've got my turn screw here. Let's use my turn screw again. So, the difference that you will find between a C3 and a Grand European is the Grand European has got the rose and scroll retained within the engraving here. Yep. All right. Now, I won't tell you what I was told about this gun, and unfortunately, I have not had the opportunity, Paul, to pick up and touch as many of these guns as was humanly possible. The reason that is because there's some people that love them so much, Paul, they've got collections of 2s, 3s, isn't uncommon for these guns. Yeah. And they were always a little bit harder to find. So of Grand Europeans, this is probably only the 4th or the 5th one that I've had in my hands over the time that we've worked here. Now, can you see the blacking that's on this one, Paul? Yeah. Come down here a little bit, mate. Come down here a little bit. Now, you've got very deep blacking on this one, Paul. Yeah. Okay. It's it's not the same blacking that was done with a standard Winchester, to be honest with you. Now, you could say that it had been highly polished and very deeply blacked. I think that it's a slightly different process again. It's a more lustrous process. It's a more time, more money, more effort, and that is what you'll tend to find. More. Spend more time on it. So now let's roll it round this way. You've got Grand European marked on the barrels here, Paul. If you can't see that, that's not the end of the world.
No, let me have a look. Oh yeah, I see. Yeah, just about making it out.
Got it now?
Here it is, Grand European.
Winchester, 12 bore, 2 3/4 inch. Well, also, Winchester have managed to engrave the top rib here. See it?
That's easier to see.
So, with Grand Europeans, Paul, you had trap guns, 30 inch and 32 inch if you look hard enough. Standard trap and Monte Carlo, again in trap gun if you look very hard. You've got skeet guns, which are 27 inch, 28 inch, and you've got game guns, which are this one, which are either 27.5 or 28 inch barrels. Grand Europeans did not come in a sporter. Trap, skeet and game. That was the three that you got from the Winchester company at the time. Now, again, Paul, there will be people that will be able to tell you a hell of a lot about this gun. From the little bit of information I read, they made the gun from 81 to 87. So there was quite a production run in there. How many they made, couldn't tell you. Now,
hopefully they'll put in the comments any information they've got. Just write in the comments.
There'll be a few people that comment on this gun. Now, as I say, I was loaning this gun, so I can't be brutally honest. I wouldn't be brutally honest about this one. It's far too nice. You've got finer checkering on this one, Paul, than you have on a standard Winchester. Probably 20 lines to the inch, something like that. You've got teardrops on the back of the woodwork fillets. You've got a rounded Prince of Wales pistol grip. sorry. And you've got hand selected high grade American walnut on it, alright?
Yeah, the grains come out quite nice in some of the bits of video.
That's because it's been oil finished, this one, Paul, instead of that lacquer that I think looks lovely and some people hate. So again, Paul, this is why I'm not a fan of customisation. Somebody's used I'm going to call it ebonite, but it's not, it's plastic. Somebody's used an ebonite piece to extend the stock, and it doesn't look very nice, to be honest with you.
No.
It also messes the balance of the gun up a little bit. This being a lightweight game gun, Paul, this should weigh, we'll say, around 7 pounds. And unfortunately now it weighs 7.25 pounds, and it's all hinging right here. It's yes, something better could have been done, I suppose we'll call it. Now, one of the things that you will run into, Paul, when you talk to people about Winchester Grand Europeans, they will tell you that the engraving is full coverage hand scroll work. Now, if you'd like to focus in quite closely on that engraving, Paul, I am not 100% sold on the fact that that's hand done, okay? Now, this is why we are showing engraving, Paul, okay? We're not trying to be experts, we're just trying to show people the differences that there is. This, hand done, okay?
Yep.
This, hand done. This, I don't feel so. Now, how can I tell that? Purely because we've had the gun and we've looked at the gun very, very closely. Now, if you keep showing some people engraving, Paul, if you come over to this bit on the forend here, if you go back in again as you did,
yeah,
all right, that there where I'm pointing at,
yeah,
hand done.
Yeah, I mean, and zooming in here, so the bits around the edges you can see, what do you want to call them, like the chatter marks where someone has engraved it.
Yeah.
But zooming right in on the stuff in the middle, the scrolling in the middle,
so
there's nothing.
You will get people, Paul, tell you how engraving is different on each model. Some are deeper, some are shallower. That's the beauty of the hand done bit that we're getting. I am not convinced that's hand done. All right, I'm not saying it doesn't look beautiful, because it does look beautiful. But what we are looking for is we're looking for hand work. Okay, now when we move on to them, Paul, this Grand European is profusely engraved, okay? Whether it's hand done or whether it's machine done, stamped on, pressed on, whatever it is, it's profusely engraved.
Yeah.
When we move on to now, I've sat down with you with my Maruku several times and tried to show you the different engraving. How much, when you see hand engraving, you will see hand engraving, won't you?
Oh yeah.
When you see it. So this is beautifully done. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
It is as high up as the Winchesters go, but we've also got a presentation version of this gun, haven't we?
Yeah.
You've done all the. How long ago did we do that presentation video? 2 weeks?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So we've had this gun come into stock. We've been loaned this gun by a customer, and we thought we would do this video, then we would release that presentation video.
Yeah. Yep.
So all I'm trying to do, and obviously we're marked here as a Grand European as well, Paul.
Yep.
All right. Can you see the differences on that forend there versus that action?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And looking at it on the camera, Paul, is not doing it justice, is it?
No.
If you looked at it in the flesh, if it was here, it would jump out at you, wouldn't it?
Yep.
The fact that it's hand done.
Yep.
So I'm not trying to point out the obvious flaws, because there isn't any obvious flaws. The gun is beautiful in its own right. Again, I'm just trying to show you the different engraving and the fact that there is a lot of different things to look at. Try not to pigeonhole yourself into one. Oh, I've got to know about Brownies, I've got to know about Winchesters, because you'll get bored very quickly if you do that. Now, there's also, Paul, because Winchester, as we know, the Japanese were playing funny buggers in every different direction. There is another gun out there which has got very similar engraving to this, that's made by Parker Hale. Okay, it's not made by Parker Hale, it's imported by Parker Hale. I think they call it an 801 or an 802 Parker Hale, something like that. It's got similar engraving on the side of it, Paul. Now, I read a few things on the internet there that people were saying if it's not got Grand European written on it, it's not a Grand European. Well, you're right in one way, you're wrong in another way. It literally is to show the engraving, Paul.
So the Winchester make that Parker Hale?
Yeah, Winchester made it for Parker Hale. And if you grabbed hold of a Parker Hale, Paul, you could take the barrels off of the Parker Hale, put it straight on this Grand European, and you could put these Grand Europeans straight on a Parker Hale, as long as it was a Japanese one, not a Turkish, an Italian-made one. Now, if you see this engraving that we've got down the barrel here, Paul, some people like it, some people hate it. The reason you should pay particular attention to it, Paul, is because one of the Marukus, when we move on to it, has got that all the way down to about here.
And it covers a lot.
Does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
On the one when we move on to it. So the thing with the Grand European, or the thing with the 101, Paul, is they all follow a theme. All right. Once you've seen one Winchester 101, you've seen the majority of them. All right. You've not seen the majority of the engraving, but you've seen the majority of the actions.
Yeah.
Now, the reason that I'm focusing so much on the engraving is because once you've learned the different action types from Maruku, the different action types from Winchester, and the different action types from Browning, once you've learned about the American walnut, the hand checkering, the blacking on the barrels. Now, blacking is not a process that I've ever been too worried about, to be honest with you. There's a fair few blackers out there that can do it. Let them do it, no problem. Woodworking. What interests me, Paul, is the engraving. It's as I say, once you've learned the different actions of the different models, once you've learned a little bit of history that is there for Browning, Maruku and Winchester, all you've got left is the engraving. Yeah. That is why we are focusing so much on the engraving, Paul. And yeah, although one of the Winchesters that we've got, now there's a quote from a film that I won't say it now, I'll say it a little bit later on when we've got the gun in our hands, but there's a quote from a film, and you have to use that quote to understand the Winchester that we've got, that we will show you, because it bears no resemblance to any Browning, any Winchester or any Maruku. It is a gun all on its own.
Yeah.
All right.
When you think this was their top of the tree.
That was the highest grade, Paul. When I say top of the tree, it was the highest advertised grade.
Yeah.
Things like the presentation grade that we've got coming, you had to know somebody fairly special. You had to know somebody quite high up in Winchester to give you the nod to say there's these things, and there's this, and there's this, and there's this. Oh, sorry, a little cough there. And then the other Winchester that we've got, Paul, pretty well you had to go to the factory and ask the man very nicely to make you one. That's the other thing that we've got. So, try not to bore everybody. How long was the video then, Paul?
About 15, 16 minutes.
Was it? So we slowed up a little bit because we've spoken quite heavily about Winchesters, about Brownings, about Marukus. Now I'm glazing over a lot of stuff with this Grand European, Paul. It's to show the engraving, really.
Yeah.
You will get Winchester Grand European enthusiasts. I'm not trying to undersell the gun. I'm not trying. It's a beautiful gun. It's fabulously engraved. It's still a standard gun, without being rude. I'm not trying to be rude. It's a standard gun, all right, with nice engraving on it. So, yeah, we will move on to some bigger and better stuff coming up, mate.
Oh, yes.
Thank you very much.